Hi, I'm Namir Anani, President and CEO of the Information and Communications Technology Council. We're a neutral and national center of expertise for the digital economy with the aim of advancing Canada's digital advantage in a global context.
Well, hi, Namir. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you. ICTC's mission is to strengthen Canada's digital advantage in the global economy. So I want to start off by asking you how you define the digital economy.
Yeah, happy to. So I think it's fair to say that technology is now it's becoming very prevalent in every sector of the Canadian economy. So I would say that any economic activity or sector that is deploying technology to advance its business objectives and scale its scope, whether it's on a national level or international level, whether they're employing mobile devices or cloud business or computerized systems or logistics to help their business increase its productivity and scale, they are deemed part of the digital economy. And that extends from the commerce business right to the banking, e-learning, digital health, and the list goes on.
And as somebody who leads an organization that's right in the heart of it and has lots of eyes and tentacles within the digital economy, what do you see as Canada's advantages in that future digital economy? And what do you identify as the priorities we have to focus on to really strengthen them and take advantage of them?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, but I think to respond to that, it's important to define what the future economy holds for Canada in the next number of years. And I think it's fair to say that we live in an era of rapid disruption where global forces are demanding our full attention. From climate change to geopolitical inflictions to trade dynamics and supply chain constraints to cyber threats, health risk, but also employment prospects for Canadians. Add to that the complexity of technology, where it's advancing innovations, but at the same time disrupting industries faster than economies can adjust. And you see a complex environment that is shaping up. But I would say that while the stakes are high in this environment, the opportunities are tremendous for those who leverage the full potential of the digital economy. And I would say Canada has a tremendous opportunity and has excellent positioning around the world on three fronts. The first, I would say, is the digital agenda, because we know that talent is the essence of any high-performing economy, and it's the innovation factor for any business or industry or sector. And we're strongly positioned as we have a very strong base of and talent base in Canada that's supported by academic institutions that are well renowned across the world in that space. And while we've done well in developing all the continuum from K to 12 right to post-secondary education and then link them with the industry, and we've been able to attract also high-skilled workers from global talent, where we need to focus for the next number of years on the reskilling and upskilling of the current workforce, because our economy is structurally transforming and it's important to do that for the next number of years. The second aspect, I would say, is that we are a strong nation in the research agenda, whether from the AI, machine learning, life sciences, and many other aspects on that. But I think what is going to be important in the next number of years is how do we take that research to market? How do we drive economic rent ultimately from this and grow the economy and grow the position for jobs in the next number of years? So commercializing of research is going to be critical in the next number of years, and we need the policies to help that shape up in Canada. The third point I would say is while we have accumulated considerable debt as a result of the recent pandemic to GDP, I would say comparatively we're strongly positioned compared to other peer nations within the G7 countries. And that's important, but also we have maintained our AAA rating by Moody, which is important for private and institutional investors. But we have to think very strategically from an industrial strategy. Which companies do we build in Canada? Which companies do we attract to help us reach those markets and fill the gap in terms of the business opportunities in the future? And I would say industries like the semiconductor industry, the autonomous vehicles aspect, the biotechnology. We have to reflect on all of that and look into what incentives to attract foreign direct investment within the confines, obviously, of maintaining intellectual property in Canada and the jobs in the next number of years. So I would say, in summary, that there are three dimensions that Canada can compete on a global scale: the talent agenda, which is the essence of any high-performing economy; the research and the ability for us to turn it into commercialization; and third is attracting companies, quality companies to Canada to support the development of the domestic market, the start of domestic market, but also help open up international channels for much of the economy in Canada.
Well, Namir, you highlighted the importance of skills and training and the future readiness of our labor force. How would you describe that level of readiness for the Canadian labor force and its ability to succeed in a digital-first future economy?
Yeah, I would say that, according to many of the studies that we've done and the recent Outlook report that we have commissioned, we identified that by 2025, we'll require approximately 250,000 critical skills to be filled in Canada, with skills ranging from computer system, occupations computer system engineers, right to full stack development and others. And while technology skills are very, very important, what is becoming critical for today's job market are what they refer to at times as soft skills, life skills, or even human skills that range from critical thinking to emotional intelligence, collaboration, as well as communication skills. But I would say that the focus in the future should be on the skills that we develop, whether it's reskilling or upskilling. Reskilling, that means helping individuals within the workforce acquire the competencies to be able to transition to another sector of the Canadian economy, specifically the growth sectors, and upskilling within their industries to be able to bring the innovation agenda forward for tomorrow's economy. And I think that's where our focus should be, is really this middle aspect of the workforce that come out of universities, are acquiring the skills, but then given that our economy is structurally transforming, we need to look into how do we make sure that our workforce is continually upskilling, because we know very well that your first degree is not going to carry you the rest of your career, that you need to continually develop. And here's where the academic institution is going to play a critical role in the future, in the finishing school capabilities and micro-credentialing, being able to give the skills on continuous basis to the workforce, whether you're from, working in an entrepreneurial startup company or you're within the workforce of the economy.
Well, Namir, we've spoken about policy and the government level. We spoke about industries and companies and the strategy level. I want to bring us down to the individual level. What challenges, such as cybersecurity or privacy and other issues like that, do you see at the individual level, Canadians contending with in the current and future digital economy? And what's your take in terms of how we can best balance the opportunities and the convenience of the technologies that we have, but at the same time mitigating the risks involved with their use?
Yeah, it's a large question. I mean, I think the cyber threats, the privacy matters are, top of mind and are demanding our full attention at the moment. But, if we look from the recent trends and the fact that our economy is structurally transforming quite rapidly, if you look at Alberta, they have currently 3,000 tech companies that are established in Alberta with a tremendous growth opportunity and spend of almost by 2024 or $20 billion in digital transformation. As much as the rest of the country is doing that, what is critical is the reskilling and upskilling, because ultimately for the average workforce is how to be able to succeed in that environment, and what are the skills necessary to make that happen. So I think that is the bigger agenda, is how do we continually transition the workforce to meet the needs of tomorrow's economy, knowing that our economy is increasingly digital led. That's where the biggest focus is going to be. But how do we balance the privacy and the security and others? Is that it is true that as technology advances, we are potentially letting go, as we adopt more of these technologies, letting go of some of our privacy in return for services. And I think that trend will be heightened in the future as technologies and services become much more sophisticated. And I would say that there is potentially a notion that we have to look at two fronts to help this agenda. One is the sophistication of technology requires to be able to have better critical thinking and approach of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And I think we have to potentially start early in schooling in providing these constructs and concepts to our K-12 and post-secondary into determining how to decipher this environment and what are the right questions to ask the industry that is providing these services. The second aspect is that we have to instill within the industry the notion of transparency, to be very transparent about their services, about the use of our data and the reuse of this information on continuous basis, and instill in them the notion of proactive disclosure, because it's important in the future, whether through incentives or punitive measures. And the industry is very cognizant that in a free market economy, the more they provide information, they're more transparent on that, the more consumer behavior and consumer adoption increases in that space. And I think that's where the focus should be in the future, is developing the foundational skills for Canadians to be able to navigate the complexity of technology and ask the right questions from the providers, but at the same time instill the notion of transparency and proactive disclosure going forward.
Well, Namir, you've already given us so many avenues for action, but I want to give you a chance to give your one call to action. If you had a 30-second opportunity to pitch anybody you could in Canada that you think has the power to strengthen the Canadian digital economy and our competitiveness within it, who would you choose to pitch, and what would you urge them to do now?
I would say all policymakers, whether federal, provincial, but also the industry at large, because ultimately, in tomorrow's economy, our ability to adopt technology and innovate in that space is going to be critical for our competitive advantage. So hence our focus on continuing the talent development and attracting the right investment into Canada to help the domestic market grow and open up international channels. But at the same time, take our research to market and commercialize it to open up new frontiers and start larger opportunities for the economy, but also for the job market, are going to be critical in the next number of years. And the decisions and policies we make today will certainly create opportunities for tomorrow's economy. So I would encourage the policymakers to reflect on that.